สวัสดีค่ะเมื่อสัปดาห์ที่แล้วนะคะเราได้ทำความรู้จักกับ APRC Asian Peace and Reconciliation Council หรือว่าสภาสันติภาพและปรองดองแห่งเอเชียซึ่งอดีตผู้นำในเอเชียรวมทั้งนักวิชาการนะคะร่วมกันจัดตั้งขึ้นมาเพื่อที่จะเป็นตัวกลางในการเข้าไปช่วยแก้ไขข้อขัดแย้งที่จะเกิดขึ้นหรือว่าเกิดขึ้นแล้วในเอเชียประเด็นที่สำคัญก็คือว่ามีทิศทางในการทำงานยังไงบ้างจะแบ่งหน้าที่กันยังไงนะคะและมีข้อขัดแย้งอะไรบ้างที่ APRC อาจจะเข้าไปช่วยไกล่เกลี่ยเป็นตัวกลางได้ค่ะ
In ASEAN, we have set up the ASEAN Institute of Peace and Reconciliation.
Right.
So that's in our term we call it Track 1.
Right.
Okay, and there are other Track 2 as well, NGOs, but not an organization that has policy makers, top academics getting together, ready to render good offices, to be peace facilitator, to promote peace dialogue, something like that. So this is very unique in my view.
Although this will be an independent entity, it will have to work with the powers that be.
If we act together, then I think the force will be stronger, and people will certainly take a look and will certainly respond to what we are going to say. But some of the issues that has to do with Asia, that has to do with ASEAN, that has to do with the world.
What is important is that peace is an ingredient for improving the life and quality of life of the people. And so we will, in our own humble way, contribute to this process of peace and development.
And I think that could be of good service to the development in Asia, which in general I think is a very positive development, especially in economic terms. And if one can add to it greater political stability, which means avoiding some of the maybe ardent conflicts, I think there could be quite a positive future.
So are you going to volunteer or are you going to wait to be asked to go into a particular conflict?
I think both. It depends on the case. And if we think that it is something that we can be of help, we would like to approach the group.
Initiate
yes,
the move.
we can initiate that. And if they feel that they have somebody else working on it, that we should stay away for the time being, then we have to agree. We cannot force if we want to do it. So that's not the way. But what is important about us is that this collective support.
Yes.
So that gives a person, I have greater confidence when I have been asked to deal with certain things, because I bear in mind the views that have been expressed by colleagues.
At least when you fail, you can fail collectively.
Yes, fail. We wouldn't want to fail. We wouldn't want to fail. We will make every effort to succeed. Yes, that's important.
Is there any similar setup in the world, Professor Kennedy, like this? A non-state sort of body for peace and reconciliation?
Well, there are a number of different analogs.
Yeah.
So there are groups of senior statesmen from different countries. There are a variety of them. And they've played an interesting role in a number of different conflicts, sometimes successfully, sometimes it's difficult to know in the public what the success was, what the engagement was, and so on. There are, of course, individuals who are playing a role, representative of the UN in Syria or whatever. And there are also groups that specialize in peace and conflict resolution, who provide studies and research, who can help to understand exactly who the parties are and what's going on. And I think we hope to partner with some of those, both university entities and think tank entities that provide that kind of work. And then there are groups that specialize in reconciliation processes and have great experience in bringing not simply the principles, the two leading political figures into some negotiation, but people who are able to understand how society itself can be reconciled. This is the moment after there's either peace or exhaustion or stopping but the underlying conflict is not resolved. And that's slow, difficult work. And there are a wide variety of very experienced non-governmental organizations in different countries who support that role and have supported that role in some of the countries represented by people in the council, but also elsewhere. So I think we're building on an enormous amount of experience that's been had by others in this field, as well as the experience of the people who are here in the group.
So in what way would this group be different from all the groups that you have mentioned?
I think the focus on Asia. This is something relatively new for Asia to have this kind of a pan-Asian group who sees its mandate to be broader than ASEAN, really encompass all of the various different possible places for engagement in the Asian continent. And the position in between a research NGO group, an NGO group that could work with citizens on the ground, a research group that could provide think tank, an intergovernmental group like ASEAN that could do very important intergovernmental negotiation. In between all those, in exactly the way Chancellor Gusenbauer said, this group will have value to add that's quite specific.
Would this setup be on a permanent basis, or is it going to be, shuttle diplomacy flying around? Is there going to be a permanent secretariat with sort of regular meetings, or is it just on ad hoc basis?
It's a permanent basis. The Asian Peace and Reconciliation Council is established, or will be established perhaps tomorrow, as a council. We have been discussing the venue for the secretariat, and there's been suggestions around the table that perhaps it should be in Thailand. We are thinking of setting up in the form of the non-profit organization like the foundation. Of course, founding members may have to engage in rendering good offices, shuttle diplomacy, being mediators or whatever, depending on the case may be. They are permanent, but there are others that we may invite on a non-permanent basis for that particular case as well.
We want to be seen as catalysts for promoting peace and reconciliation. Being a catalyst means that we may not just follow the status quo and the usual approaches. We would like to look at out-of-the-box approaches and out-of-the-box solutions. Secondly, I think what is unique about this group is everybody is contributing personal time for no benefit, financial or otherwise. And because we are all driven by a strong desire to promote peace and harmony and reconciliation, because that is so critical to settling the other challenges which the world faces, or Asia in this case faces, human development, growth, giving people the basic needs of life, etc. Without peace, nothing can be achieved. In fact, there is enough evidence, as you know better than anybody, that where there is lack of peace, you really disempower people of many of their basic rights and quality of life. So it is very critical for us to get together, and there's high level of enthusiasm to get this going. And I'm sure that Thailand will be a good home for such an initiative.
One of the unique things about the group is the intention to be a standing body. So many individuals, and we know Kofi Annan involves himself, and people involve themselves in conflicts all the time, and there's a huge role for that. But there's a very special role for a group that people know will be there a year from now, 2 years from now, and will stick with the process and stick with the conflict, even if the personnel change. In one or another way, the group has made a commitment to stick with a process of negotiation and engagement that can have very long periods where it seems that nothing is being accomplished. So I think a standing body in Asia, composed of senior statesmen and stateswomen, who are able to make that kind of long-term commitment will be an important addition to the Asian governance architecture.
That in diplomacy, international diplomacy, there's always a quid pro quo, which could result in material benefits to a country or a group of countries. In this case, the quid pro quo is just peace.
Okay.
And I think
all you demand is peace.
Absolutely.
Nothing else.
The rest will, through good governance, good leadership in a particular country, the other benefits will come. But we don't have a quid pro quo like you do in an active diplomacy. Give me this, so I get that.
It's very important. And But what I would like to emphasize is that there will be a higher level of confidence because we have our friends in this group who are ready to help and also to give some ideas what needs to be done. And with that level of confidence that we can really go in and help to manage the situation. If we can call for some more support to come in, because in the process of doing it, we notice there are other issues coming up that has to be dealt with, without which we are not going to solve the problem, or perhaps the problem becomes even worse. Then we can call for the people. Because that's very simple. Tell the secretariat, we need this support, we need certain person who is expert in this particular field. So by so doing, I think the chances of getting the crisis resolved hopefully is certainly there. So that is very, very important. Collective responsibility, collective help to deal with all whatever problems that may arise in the process of us attending to that.